Douglas Ross.
Majesty outlined in his statement how the UK Government has sought to constructively engage with the Scottish Government during the passage of this bill prior to it being voted on in the Scottish Parliament. Yet Nicola Sturgeon has now tried to turn this into a political battle between the Scottish and UK Government, when all, as I understand it, the Scottish Secretary and the Government are trying to do is protect women's rights. So despite the howls that we are getting from the SNP, can the Scottish Secretary confirm that all the SNP have to do is bring forward a bill in the Scottish Parliament that protects the rights of women and girls across the United Kingdom?
Yes, and actually I think that, Mr. Speaker, fortunately that addresses one of the points that the Shadow Secretary of State for Scotland raised, and I can address that here. I have written to the First Minister. I've suggested that we meet to resolve these issues, and it is the case that the Scottish Government's bill has adverse effects on those two pieces of Scottish legislation. You will see it in the Statement of Reasons, which has been produced by our legal advisers. And what is missing is sufficient protections and safeguards for women and children that are reflected in existing Westminster legislation, and that is why I have had to lay this order.
We now come to SNP spokesperson Dr Philippa Whitford.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Vetoing this legislation is an unprecedented attack on the Scottish Parliament, which passed the Gender Recognition Reform Bill 86 to 39, including MSPs from every single party. Gender recognition is a devolved policy area, and this does not change the 2010 Equality Act or give any additional rights to those with a certificate. It shortens and simplifies the process, and particularly ends the requirement for a psychological diagnosis of gender dysphoria. This is in keeping with the guidance from the World Health Organization and UN, which recommends change to a legal statutory process based on self-identification. This change has already been made by many countries over the last decade, including neighbours Ireland, Belgium, Denmark. But this government is threatening to end UK acceptance of international certificates. I find it bizarre, considering the former Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Member for Maidenhead, suggested a similar proposal in 2017. So can the Secretary of State explain exactly which parts of the Equality Act are changed by this bill? Why did he not raise specific concerns during the two consultations carried out by the Scottish Parliament, or in response to the Cabinet Secretary's letter in October, rather than a response that came 3 days before the final debate on the bill? What modifications is he suggesting to the bill that wouldn't include a return to the outmoded medicalised process? Why is he using one of the most marginalised groups in society to pick a fight with the Scottish Parliament? Is he seriously, after 300 years of different marriage ages and voting ages, suggesting there can no longer be legal or age differences north and south of the border? And does he recognise that vetoing this bill simply highlights the hollow reality of devolution?
Secretary of State.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable lady won't be surprised to hear that I don't recognise very much of what she said as being correct, and I would point her to the Statement of Reasons, which will be laid alongside this order today, and our legal advice is very clear. The Equality Act 2010 is reserved, and there are adverse effects. And they will be there in the Statement of Reasons. And I listed some of those in my statement I made only moments ago. I listed them areas around associations, women's safe spaces, single-sex clubs, single-sex schools, etc., etc. It was very clear. It was very clear what I said, and you will see what legal counsel have determined when you see the Statement of Reasons.